Tonight, the world stands on the edge of something terrifying. A warning has just been issued, one that could reshape global history forever. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps has declared that if the United States crosses what they call their red lines, the response will not be limited to the Middle East. No, they are threatening something far bigger. They say they will strike beyond the region and even cut off oil and gas supplies to Washington and its allies. This is no longer just a regional conflict. This is a global crisis in the making. And then came the most chilling statement of all. A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. Let that sink in. A civilization wiped out in a single night. Is this a warning, a threat, or the beginning of something unstoppable? Tensions are rising rapidly as pressure builds from former U.S. President Donald Trump, who has set a strict deadline, a ticking clock toward either diplomacy or destruction. But the question everyone is asking is simple. How does Iran react when pushed to the edge? Inside Iran, fear is spreading. People are anxious. Families are preparing for the worst. Many are praying that a last-minute deal will emerge before the deadline hits. There are small signs of hope, whispers of diplomacy happening behind the scenes. Even Iran's ambassador in Islamabad hinted that talks are at a critical and sensitive stage. That means something is moving. But is it enough? Despite the fear, Iran is not backing down. Their leadership is sending a clear message. They will not surrender under pressure. And that's where things become even more dangerous. Because on the other side, Donald Trump continues to escalate his rhetoric. His strategy seems simple: increase pressure, increase fear, force Iran to break. But experts warn this approach could backfire badly. Iran is not a country that easily bends under threats. In fact, it may do the opposite. Analysts say Trump's language is shocking the world. Some even suggest that if carried out, these threats could violate international law, possibly even be considered war crimes. And yet, the rhetoric continues, louder, harsher, more dangerous. Instead of calming tensions, the situation feels like it's spiraling out of control. Experienced negotiators say there were better ways: move military assets away, send signals of peace, build trust quietly. But instead, what we're seeing is the exact opposite. And then came another powerful statement, this time from inside Iran. More than 14 million people have reportedly registered to sacrifice their lives to defend their country. Think about that. 14 million people ready to die. This is no longer politics. This is national survival. Iran believes it holds a powerful card, the Strait of Hormuz, one of the most critical oil routes in the world. If Iran blocks it, global oil supply could collapse overnight. Prices would skyrocket, economies could crash, and countries across the world would feel the impact immediately. And here's the reality. Iran has the capability to strike economic targets across the region. Oil facilities, energy infrastructure, trade routes, everything is at risk. If the U.S. launches a large-scale attack, Iran could respond in ways that shake the global economy. This is the nightmare scenario many leaders fear, an escalation that no one can control. Meanwhile, inside Iran, the situation is becoming increasingly desperate. People are stocking up on water, preparing for power outages, bracing for infrastructure collapse. Some are even rushing to pharmacies, searching for iodine tablets. Why? Because they fear a nuclear disaster. Near the southern city of Bushehr lies Iran's only nuclear power plant, and it has already been attacked multiple times in recent weeks. Each strike increases the risk of radioactive leakage, and now people are preparing for the worst. Even Russian technicians working at the plant have begun evacuating. Hundreds have already left. They're warning the situation is approaching a worst-case scenario. That's not just concerning, that's terrifying. Across Iran, fear is spreading. People don't know what will happen next. They don't know if their cities will be targeted. They don't know if they will survive the night. And while all this unfolds, diplomacy continues behind closed doors. Pakistan has emerged as a key mediator alongside countries like Turkey, Egypt, and Oman. They are working non-stop, trying to prevent catastrophe. There were reports of a proposed 45-day ceasefire, a temporary pause followed by negotiations for a permanent end to the conflict. But Iran rejected it. Why? Because they no longer trust temporary peace. They've seen it before, and they believe it only leads to more war. At the same time, communication channels between the U.S. and Iran have broken down. Some Iranian officials believe previous negotiations were used as a cover while attacks were being planned. That trust is now gone, and without trust, diplomacy becomes almost impossible. Still, mediators are pushing forward, working through the night, holding urgent discussions, trying to find any possible solution before the deadline hits. But time is running out. And then another shocking development. Reports began to surface that a massive petrochemical facility in Saudi Arabia had been attacked, one of the largest in the world, now partially on fire. If confirmed, this changes everything. Because Iran had already warned, if our infrastructure is attacked, we will strike others. And now it appears that warning may be turning into reality. This is how escalation begins. One strike leads to another, retaliation follows retaliation, and before long, the entire region is in flames. At this point, the world is watching closely. Leaders are waiting, citizens are fearing, and the clock keeps ticking. There is still a small window for diplomacy. Some officials believe a response from Iran could come before the deadline. A breakthrough is still possible, but it's slipping away second by second. And then came the final blow. A senior Iranian source reportedly stated there are no negotiations with the United States. No talks, no compromise, no surrender. That statement alone could change everything, because without dialogue, conflict becomes inevitable. However, there is still talk of an off-ramp, a way out, a final chance to avoid disaster. But it requires one thing: willingness from both sides. The question is, will they take it? Or will the world witness something far worse? Because if diplomacy fails tonight, what comes next may not just be a war. It could be something far bigger, a chain reaction of events that reshapes the world forever. A civilization gone in a single night. And as the deadline approaches, the entire planet holds its breath.